One day, a few years ago, I was taking a walk with my parents in the local park. We were going along the uneven cobblestone paths next to old pine trees and other greenery, when eventually we came across a little pond. Taking a break there, we watched ducks and fish drifting in the shiny water. I was taking a bite out of my hot dog that I got earlier when we had encountered a food stand and all got something to eat. And as I was watching the ducks in the pond, I decided to break the bread off my hot dog and feed it to them. In my mind, I was being a nice little kid, caringly feeding cute little duckies out of the pure and limitless kindness of my heart. Next thing I know, however, some old lady spots me feeding the ducks. She scolds me while waving her finger, saying feeding them is harmful and makes them rely on human handouts. What she said was burned into my memory in a way I wouldn't ever forget. See, ever since I was little, being a good person was always a large part of my identity. Like a lot of you, I'm sure, growing up, I was constantly told to be a good kid. And up until that point in my life, I did a pretty good job of doing so. The people who surrounded me, like my friends and family, would agree that what I was doing was good too. So when that old lady scolded me, it was the first time someone had the opposite view on good than I did. And as a result, I felt this huge wave of moral confusion and failure. I wanted to be a good person so bad that I asked an intriguing question. What makes a good person for everybody? What is the good person? So fast forward a couple of years, I'm now nearing the end of my last year in middle school, when I get the offer to do a TEDx talk. And when choosing my topic, I realized that question is still important to me, and I still couldn't answer it. Thus, when I started my research to find what the good person is, I looked back at my encounter with the old lady. One thing I had definitely already learned from it is that people have different morals. And these morals are ethical values, and the extent to which someone values one good thing as more good than another is something called moral subjectivism. And it's basically your moral opinion. What I wasn't sure about is why her moral view was different to mine. For me, I knew that my moral view was shaped mostly by how my parents raised me. But I'm sure that old lady's parents told her to be kind and caring as well. So what made our ethical values different? Well, our ethical values are shaped by our upbringing and the external influence we have received over the course of our lives. Environment, culture, friends, and so much more. This background which shapes your ethical values is called moral relativism. So in short, your moral relativism is what builds your moral subjectivism. And that is what differed in our morality. Let's go back to when I was feeding ducks. At that moment, because of the influence of my culture, environment, how my upbringing, my relativism showed through when I prioritized the fact that I was giving out food that was mine to cute animals. My moral opinion was that sharing was good, even if it was with ducks. When the old lady scolded me, however, her moral relativism showed when she knew that feeding wildlife was bad for them and not caring for them as I thought. Thus, her moral opinion was that harming wildlife is bad, and she scolded me for it. Now, the reason our moral relativism was different wasn't really because we were raised all that much different as children. It was more because she had gone through so much more in her life at that point than I had. But this example still illustrates what moral subjectivism and relativism is like. Moreover, what it meant for me was that since morality is in the eyes of the beholder, technically, everybody is a good person from their own point of view, and nobody can be a good person for everyone. If you think one action is good, there's always going to be someone who thinks the opposite. Thus, did that mean my search for the good person was over just like that? It wasn't. After giving it some thought, I realized something. Even if the good person didn't exist, and every good action you take has an equally negative consequence for someone else, it didn't change the fact that I still wanted to be a good person. People still constantly strive to be good, despite that, whatever that means for them. And that's the way it's always been, since people first started wanting to be good. I don't think any of you in the audience just suddenly gave up on being good either. So I thought, if I could figure out why being good was so important for people, I could find what the good person is. I looked back at my inquiry, which continued into ancient times, with theories from old philosophers dating all the way back from 360 BC to the 17th century. I covered theories upon theories and concepts upon concepts. Here's just a few of them. And yet, out of all of those theories from all of those philosophers, not one of them could explain to me why people wanted to be good so bad and what made it important. But it was during this obstacle when I remembered that moment with the old lady a few years ago, and just how badly I wanted her to see me as a good person. I realized instead of looking back in time when other people tried defining good, I just had to think about what being a good person meant for me and to the people I know. And when thinking about it, I realized something like helping someone in need or assisting someone with a task made me feel good. Something like making my friend feel better after something bad happened. Doing good deeds made me feel like a good person. And feeling like a good person made me feel happy. And I'm sure a lot of you in the audience feel that way too. I want you to think about a good deed that you've done recently and stop on the first one that comes to your mind. Keep thinking about it. Doesn't just imagining it almost relax you a little? These types of altruistic acts seem to me, and probably to you too, like exactly what a good person should be like, right? So what if I were to tell you that any type of these altruistic acts is actually just as much selfish as selfless? Crazy talk, right? Well, picture this, a scenario we have all gone through in our lives. You're sitting in class, taking notes, working hard on your assignment, when your friend next to you asks to copy off you because they weren't paying attention and just need to get the right answers fast. Unfortunately, your friend also isn't the most responsible, so this kind of thing happens again and again. If you let your friend copy, maybe even tell them to write a few of the answers wrong so the teacher doesn't get suspicious, you may feel good about yourself or smart because you just helped your friend out. But at the same time, you've just blocked your friend from receiving valuable knowledge they will definitely regret not learning later, and you even gave them the wrong answers so they can't learn on their own time. So, should you feel good about yourself? This type of egoic altruism, as it's called, applies for other situations in life as well. Say, for example, you give money to a homeless person. Are you really always doing it because of your pure altruism? Or maybe to look like a good person or to feel nice about yourself? Now, I know you're definitely disagreeing with me, but what I'm saying is, even in private, if you gave money to a homeless person, you wouldn't even feel a little better about yourself as a human being? And does that make you a bad person? The reason I'm saying this is because in my research, I found so much information which showed that the majority of altruistic acts have social motivations, like wanting to win respect or higher social status in your environment. The Pakistan Center for Philanthropy, for example, found that an entire 90% of all altruistic acts are religiously motivated, another unnoticeable act of egoic altruism. There's even a science-based theory called the empathy altruism theory, which asserts that when we see someone who could use help, our brain literally sends out distress signals, and the only way to calm them is by helping that person. It really makes you question things, right? So, if being good is only important and we strive to do and be it because it makes us feel happy and it benefits us just as much, are we all just bad people? No. To be completely honest, I don't think you're a bad person for feeling good after helping someone homeless on the street. I don't think you're a bad person either for letting your friend copy off you and feeling good about it. Even with all the facts and research which say we only do altruistic acts because they benefit us just as much, I don't think feeling pleased with yourself disqualifies those acts from being good. Actually, I think feeling happy with yourself may be the point of a good act. I still only know what being a good person is for myself, and despite my research, I still think it's important. I mean, if I didn't, I wouldn't have done this entire talk. So, to conclude, I want to ask you something, because I think it'll be valuable in your life. What does a good person look like for you, and why do you find it important?